you doing? This is Advancing of Blacks in Sports podcast. My name is Gary Charles, CEO/founder of ABIS, Advancement of Blacks in Sport, the name of the podcast. This particular sequence, we're going to discuss the NIL, name, images, and likeness, among other things. So we brought you three people to discuss these things. One, former NBA player, Jase Richardson, also a slam dunk contest winner. I was there actually a couple of times he won. His son, Jase Richardson, he's not bad. I've seen him for myself. Not bad at all. You're going to be hearing about him in the future, if not sooner. And also, Tim Nevius, prominent lawyer who knows a lot about the NIL. Let's get to it. First of all, let's start. Jason, great to see you, my man. How you been?
I've just been sitting around, basically following my kids around. I got Jase right now, I'm sophomore in high school. I have a younger son, 14, going through the AAU circuit as well. And I have a 22-year-old daughter that's playing college basketball in Denver. So
wow.
The household is always busy with basketball going on. I thought I retired from it, but it's constantly around.
You know what? It's probably even tougher now watching them play than it was when you played.
Yeah, it is very fun and kind of similar with everything that's going on with, the AAU circuit, the rankings, all that stuff. Seeing college coaches that recruited me years ago. It's just a fun time sitting back being a parent and watching my sons go through it.
Now, it's interesting that you brought up, you're watching them play. I remember one year I was having a conversation with Greg Anthony, and he was so upset about where his son was ranked. His son was ranked like number 5. And I'm like, Greg, you want to calm down? I mean, he's like number 5 right now, man. Just relax. Okay? So it's funny. So, hey, Jase, so tell me a little bit about you because the audience needs to know.
I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm just happy to be there, happy to play there, and learn from top guys over there.
Good for you, Tim. Welcome aboard, Tim. Appreciate you coming on. Tell the audience a little bit about you, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Gary. Jason and Jase, great to meet you guys as well. A little bit about me, I'm a sports attorney, work with athletes, primarily college athletes. Used to be an NCAA investigator before I switched sides and helped start fighting for the athletes, including in helping start what became the Alston litigation before the Supreme Court.
Got it. So, Jason, I met you at the legendary ABCD camp. Tell me what you remember about the camp and what would you like to say? And remember now, Sonny's going to be watching.
The ABCD camp was amazing. As a kid growing up back in the day, that's what you wanted to get invited to. I remember going there, nobody really knew who I am, and knowing I was playing against top players in the country and felt like I could be one of those top players. So it was no better platform for me to go there and perform. And luckily, I went there and played pretty good. Started getting my name out there, started getting the rankings. But I always remember the ABCD camp. It was always something that I wanted to be a part of, and I'm glad I was a part of.
One of the things that I remember is that we had picked you for the All-Star game, but you couldn't play, as I remember,
yep.
Right? Because of the rules in Michigan at the time, you guys were not allowed to play the All-Star game. And I remember thinking, wow, what a shame. He can't play the game, but damn it, it gives me a chance to put somebody else on, so I don't have to hear some of these grassroots coaches complain about their kid. So I always remember that.
It was very devastating for me, with the Michigan rules that was going on. At the time we couldn't play in All-Star games. Another thing, I was still playing the high school tournament. I didn't play the McDonald's game also. And I think I worked really hard to get to those levels in those games, and I'd be able to play against the top players at the camp or in the McDonald's. It was very devastating, but I think times have changed. I'm pretty sure they changed that rule in Michigan. But just to be considered one of the top players in the camp at the time, because we had guys like DeMar Johnson and Jonathan Benner and Keith Bogans. I mean, we had some of the top guys in the country, even a couple of guys that made it to the NBA. So still have my name considered with those guys. It was still felt pretty good.
You know what I love about NBA guys is that I don't care how long you played, you never forget certain things. Just now, you just named some of the top guys at the camp after all these years because it's still bothering you. You couldn't play.
Funny. It's so funny. We run into guys that do all the rankings, and
Yeah.
we were just talking to Stovall the last time I saw him.
Okay.
Telling me, man, none of the NBA players forget their rankings. They still mad at me, and they grown men.
Hey.
It's just the competitive nature of guys.
Let me tell you this. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who's now the president of the G League, right? The last time I saw him, he came to me, he said, I should have gotten that MVP at camp. Y'all jerked me that year. And I'm like, Sharif, you still bothering me about it? He said, that was wrong. I'm like, Sharif, it was Stephon Marbury. It was in Jersey. It was in basically his hometown. What can we do? And he was like, man, you don't forget. And I just had to laugh. I just had to laugh about that. So, Jase, so these are some of the things you may have to worry about. But, Jase, there's a lot on your shoulder right now because obviously your dad was a phenomenal, ball player. And I'm sure you hear it, on a regular basis. What is your expectation and how do you shoulder the burden that you're dealing with right now?
When I play, I usually don't think about all the expectations people have me build up to be about my dad and about outside stuff. So I just go out there, do my thing, just play the way I usually play.
You don't think about it, not even a little bit?
Not even a little bit. I'm just too worried about the game and too worried about getting the win.
The last time I was out there for the Tarkanian Classic, I just thought about something. Half the team came to help me take boxes out because we had to get him out for the T-shirts, so Dad had to put him in my car. But I didn't see you, man. What'd you do? You ran away or something, man?
I was probably in the back getting stretched or something. I don't remember, but I remember everybody went to a couple boxes. I was probably doing something.
Yeah, but I remember, okay? So just remember that, all right? Hey, Tim, the NIL has taken on a life of its own. And for the audience, that's name, images, and likeness. And Tim has become a big voice, in that. Tim, what would you like to, tell people in regard to the NIL right now?
Well, I think when people are from the outside looking at it, there are misperceptions about what's actually happening. And then from the inside, for athletes and parents, there are things that you have to set expectations reasonably. I think the way things have evolved, it's been highly successful so far for the athletes, at least those that have chosen to take advantage of it. And for those that are deciding whether or not they're going to pursue this, or perhaps they're building their marketing value and their brand in order to take advantage of it in the future, there's things you just have to take into consideration that include really just setting expectations, having a good perspective, and setting your priorities. Why are you engaged in this in the first place? And it cannot be in place of basketball or school or other sports in school, because those are the things that are going to give you the brand value to begin with. Those are the things that are also going to set you up for the future. So these are unique issues with college athletes because they are already full-time athletes and full-time students. This is an additional benefit that they can take advantage of, but they have to do so with perspective and priorities.
So, what do you see as the common mistake that athletes are making now in regards to the NIL?
Exactly that. I mean, to carry over what I was just speaking about, there's inflated expectations sometimes. There is an inclination to want to keep up with others because, all of a sudden you can get a deal and someone says, I got a deal with this company, or I got a car, or I got whatever it is. And so then there's, oh man, I got to keep up and I have to, raise my status in that respect. And that's a mistake because you have to be patient and you have to understand that these things are going to develop over time as you pursue your craft and as you put forth the effort that you need to do in terms of taking care of your priorities first. But also and really the challenging part is the time commitments. That if you are going to pursue a deal, you've already established that you know what your priorities are. You have an opportunity presented to you. Do you understand what the commitment is? Because once you sign on the dotted line, you have a legal obligation to fulfill. And if you cannot fulfill that legal obligation, you're just opening up a can of worms and some problems that you're going to have to face that will distract you from all those other things that are supposed to be your priority.
That's some great, great stuff that you're saying and saying great stuff. Jay Rich, your son's about to go through the same journey that you went through. It's funny, as you know, your former grassroots coach, Chris Greer and I were very close. So we used to have a lot of conversation about you and, some of the other guys. And so I remember through all the tribulation that you guys were going through because as the OG, so to speak, of the group, everyone would call me about advice and the way to proceed it. What do you tell your son, knowing the things you went through? What advice have you given him, and how is he taking to it?
First of all, I'm dad, so he don't take any of my advice. He don't look at me as Jason, the basketball player.
Right.
So anytime I say anything,
How about that?
I think two things in his mind. I'm still dad, and number two, at his age right now, he's a way better basketball player than I ever was. So I think those two things. But I think he do take into consideration the things I have to say. Knowing that basketball's got to take care of basketball. You do what you're supposed to do on the court, everything will fall in line. It's a totally different now because the NIL, it does push kids to, I got to show my case, my brand. I got to go out there and get 30. I got to do this. But I tell him to play basketball. He's always been raised to be a basketball player. That's not just scoring. That means rebounding, defending, diving on the floor, doing everything it takes to win games.
And, it's interesting that from your perspective, because, with Jase, the situation is not the same because, like I like to say, his refrigerator is not empty. And, being a guy, from New York, I dealt with that a lot with the guys. I can remember what I dealt with Lamar Odom and guys, like that. Okay, and Joakim Noah, it's interesting because Joakim Noah, he could have came out the year before, he would have been a top 3 that year. But he decided he wanted to stay. He said, Coach, I'm enjoying myself, can I stay? And I'm like, yeah. And I remember hanging up the phone thinking, yeah, his refrigerator is not empty. Okay, that's why he's staying. All right? Even though I said to him, but you're going to probably be like top 10. You're not going to go top 3 the following year. And he was like, why not? I said, well, there's a couple of kids in there, Kevin Durant and Greg Oden, who are going to go before you. All right? But he still stayed in. So, Jase, I say that to say, because your refrigerator is not empty, do you think of things the same way in that, wow, I need to do something with the NIL? Does that come into your mind at all, as you proceed with this?
As of lately, not much, but I've heard much about it going through. Heard about some of the college athletes getting some sponsorships and endorsement deals. And it seems kind of interesting in college doing like sponsorships with big programs.
Good for you on that. Tim, as a member of ABIS, Advancement of Blacks in Sport, you were a big proponent of setting up a committee for the NIL. You and Terrell Myers, the grassroots coach from We Are One, I remember, was really, Gary, we got to do this, because this was before the colleges had made a decision that kids could start getting paid on that. What was the driving force behind your passion on that?
Information and access to information, because that is what people need to arm themselves with before they engage in these types of activities. There's so much talk about what name, image, and likeness is, what opportunities people have, but a lot of it is talk, and you need to be able to navigate the noise from the truth and understand what it means to you, what opportunities exist, and understand what the rules are, understand where you go for resources. And so I think anytime you're creating a group that's focused on a subject matter to give people more information, it's with that purpose to help educate people so they can take advantage of things, or in other ways to prevent them from making mistakes that they might otherwise make and that people have already started to make with respect to name, image, and likeness.
Jay Rich, as someone who really knows Sonny Vaccaro, Sonny played a major part with the NIL, pushing it to go to court, and he enlisted the help of Ed O'Bannon, to make it happen. And that helped lead the way to kind of like, where we at. What would you like to say to Sonny? in regards to the fight that he was fighting for this?
Just thank you. Sonny has been, instrumental in a lot of young guys' lives and getting to the next level, not just, professional college level. He's always been a big component of just, fighting for the right things for guys. And he's been a trendsetter, and he's done things that only help the game of basketball. So Sonny, known him since I was a kid, haven't seen him in years. He's just still the same great guy. I just want to say thank you for everything he has done.
How about that? Jase, I know you may not know who he is or much about him. I tell kids all the time, you need to know your history about some of these things, because these are people that kind of like, pave the road for you to have the opportunity to make some things happen. Do you and your teammates ever talk about this? And what's the conversation now, in your environment? It's a different world.
Well, usually in the locker room, we don't really talk about the NIL stuff much, really, but we've like thought about it. We've processed it through our coach and other players, and it's just kind of interesting to us.
Tim, I brought you on here for a reason, because I think that you're going to have a whole lot of conversation with families like, the Richardson, and having the opportunity to speak. Is there anything in particular you might want to, say to them, knowing that Jay's son has a deadly jump shot, man, so I just got to tell you that.
No, I think, just based on, Jason, you coming from having your background that you have, and you guys having a strong family foundation, you're already head and shoulders above so many other people, and coming into these opportunities, because it really starts with perspective and expectations. Mm-hmm. And from there, you can navigate. There's certain things that I have expertise on in helping advise people with respect to the rules and compliance, and perhaps there's relationships and things like that to take advantage of. But, you guys have the background of you participating in professional sports. I mean, you're in great shape already. But everyone's not, there's other people that come from backgrounds that they don't have experience with, whether it's professional sports, let alone college sports. There's some people that are first generation college students. There's some people that don't know where to go to get the correct responses or correct answers and information. With name, image, and likeness, there's people coming into the conversation that, obviously want to be a part of something that's exciting, and perhaps make some money too, and so people can be leery of others that are trying to get involved. So that's where you guys are already head and shoulders above everyone else, and you're going to be able to navigate this without problem, I think, so long as you keep that perspective and that mentality that you take care of first things first, and and then it's just the other people getting them information through places like ABIS and making sure that they have the resources they need to navigate this as well.
Thank you, Tim. Hey Jay Rich, ABIS, we want to be the voice for racial equity in sports. Knowing what you know, could an organization like this have been able to help you back then, knowing what you know?
Yeah, I think it would, because I was one of those kids that didn't have food in the refrigerator. So having information like this, especially with kids able to make money off their name and likeness, I think is an incredible thing. I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of kids. I think it's a fine line of using it and abusing it. You can't let that dictate everything that happens on the court. It can help you out, it can set you up and make some money off for yourself. At the same time, that can't be the end all. It's bigger things that your kids should want to strive for. And the first thing I can tell you right now, playing 14 years in the NBA, is a college education. I'm 40. I'll be 41 tomorrow. I'm still in school, finishing up my degree, even though all those years playing in the NBA. It's something I'm still achieving. So that's the biggest and that's the main goal first, is getting that college scholarship where you can leave college debt free. And leave away with the education. That's the worst to come out of this for your kids. So keeping that in focus, and then everything else will fall in line. So yeah, making sure that the educational piece there, making sure your kid gets a college scholarship, that should be the first priority. And if your kid does that, the worst they could leave out with is a free education. Everything else will take care of itself. I know it's easy for me to come in, like you said, the refrigerator is full of food, but at the end of the day, these kids need education, and they take care of that. The sports will fall in place, basketball fall in place, football, whatever sport it is. But keep in mind that the ultimate goal is to get to college and leave college debt free.
There you go. Hey, Jase, it's interesting. Typically, after I've seen some players, I'll get calls from all over the country. What do you think about that person? What do you think about that person? I know you don't know much about me, but you probably should do your history too. But, I've coached a lot of guys, and I helped Kobe Bryant get his first shoe deal. Okay, so people call me all the time, and they call me about you. I want to tell you what I said, but if I do, then I got to kill you. Okay? But I would tell you, though, I love, what I've seen with you. It's too bad you got hurt, because obviously you got hurt. But in the game, in one of the best games I've ever seen, that double overtime. And by the way, I did think that shot went in, that 70-footer. I did think it went in on time, but it's another story. So knowing all of that, Jason, knowing what you guys have been through so far, what are your goals this year, with the team? What would you like to see happen?
The goals this year, win state. That's the main goal. Our coach is striving for a national record, and we're here to break it for him. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're ready to do. Is hopefully come up with an undefeated season and win that for him.
Well, you're gonna have a lot to do with that. You guys are, pretty good. I'm really curious about your team future, because I saw 3 young guys who were like, oof, on that team. Okay, so the ride is gonna be unbelievable. Tim, tell the audience what you've been up to these days. I know you have a podcast and everything else, so why don't you talk a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, so it's just an extension of, my advocacy for college athletes. It's called College Athletes Strong. It's all about the issues in college sports from the athlete's perspective. We touch on name, image, and likeness, but we go far beyond that because there's so many other critical issues that athletes are faced today. We've heard a lot about changes, and even though there has been historic change so far in this past year with name, image, and likeness, and there's a lot of momentum in favor of the players, we still have a long way to go to make things equitable from a variety of standpoints. And it includes what Jason was talking about with respect to education, access to education, graduation attainment, making sure that the overemphasis on sports doesn't take away from your opportunity to get a meaningful education, health and safety, which is a huge issue that just still has not been addressed sufficiently. We need enforceable health and safety standards to protect the young people and avoid conflicts of interest that exist within athletic departments and programs in treating medical injuries and things like that for the athletes. So that's what the podcast is all about, but it's also really just an extension of my representation and work with athletes and with families. And I like, Jason, what you said in terms of those priorities. I think they make all the difference in the world, and as well as, utilizing name, image, and likeness to your advantage, using it as a resource, getting extra additional income because you're able to do that now and you deserve it, but don't let it be a distraction. And I think that's the right takeaway and the right message in all of this.
Jay, I actually remember getting a call from the famous Eddie Lau.
Easy.
And he said to me you were interested in moving to Vegas, and you wanted some information about Bishop Gorman. I actually remember you come in one day and into the gym, and we talked about a little bit. How did that decision get formulated?
Well, for me, it was trying to get a bigger push for my son as far as basketball, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure that he was in a school that was diverse, that has athletics, and that had a good education. And we looked at everything in the West Coast, schools in California, we looked at some schools in Seattle, we looked at schools in Arizona, and we found out that Bishop Gorman was a good situation for him. As far as, them being known as a national team, even though they're still a regular high school, we wanted to do a traditional high school where he still go to class, he still have homecoming, we still want him to be a kid. I think the biggest issue is, these kids, they're still kids. You still got to experience life. Even though basketball take up much of your life, you still got to be a kid and still have things to do as a kid. You don't want to assume you're being almost considered a professional because you end up hating. We still want him to love basketball, still be able to go to football games, homecoming, and still be a kid. So the situation at Bishop Gorman, it turned out to be a pretty good one for us.
Wow, Jay Rich, boy, oof. You're not that young guy I remember anymore. You're really speaking some wisdom words right there, buddy. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Hey, Jase, now let me just say this. Coach Grant Rice and now extremely close, okay? So be careful what you're about to say about it when I ask you this question, okay? So just so you understand, it's like my little bro. Everyone knows that we run the Las Vegas Big Time tournament together. Jay, you remember that? Back in the day, you brought the name back. And obviously, we run the Tarkanian Classic together, so that's my guy. But I think he's a phenomenal coach. Obviously, he has a vote in the McDonald's game, the McDonald's All-American game, so you definitely want to be on his side. But what is it about him, Coach Rice, Jason, that you like, or you think that's funny, or that you just appreciate as a young man coming up in this game?
Well, Coach Rice is just a great guy all around. He helps us on and off the court with stuff, make sure we got our schoolwork done, make sure we're doing well in the classroom so we can be able to play. And he's just a good he's a good coach on the court as well, just guiding us and teaching us ways throughout this year.
So, how do you navigate having to play with that crazy old Blake, his son? Because I've known Blake since he was like this. Always been crazy, makes me laugh. Just tell me, like he keeps your guys loose over there.
Yeah, that's my guy. He gives us all the energy we need in the locker room. He'll be first one on the aux playing the music, just having us getting ready for game time.
There you go. Jay Rich, one of the reasons that ABIS was formulated was so that people could hear our voice, so we could control our own narrative. I am so sick and tired of people speaking for us and changing what it really is. So because of that, we created the ABIS Awards. It's called the Champion of Legend Award Gala. And it's going to happen this year, Memorial Weekend, in Las Vegas at the Resort World. And we're going to be honoring a bunch of people and awarding a particular subject after them. Like, for example, Shaq. We're going to name the Economic Sustainability Award after Shaq. And we're going to give it to someone. Now, in some ways, Shaq kind of like gangstered us into naming it after him, but that's okay.
It's okay.
But it's okay. It's okay. Honestly, he's earned it with everything he's done. But one of the awards I'm really proud of is the Sonny Vaccaro Award. It's going to be called the Champion of Change, award, because what people don't know is that not just the NIL, but he kind of created the landscape of grassroots basketball the way it is. He helped college coaches get money for a shoot deal. I mean, he's just done so much that people aren't aware of, and it's time for him to be recognized, for that. And we're hoping that we can get your support and be part of the Champion of Legends. But I just want to get your opinion, what you think, about that. And it's just so many people. I mean, Vivian Stringer is going to get the Pioneer Award. We're going to do the Jackie Jordan Kersey Excellence Award. Coach Eddie Robinson, Coaches Award. So. And on and on and on. Okay, it's time for us to recognize us. All right, what do you think?
I think that's amazing that you're doing that because there are a lot of people behind the scenes that are making things for these kids coming up. And I know you've been one of those first people to do it. For many years I know from the Long Island Panthers with Coach Janelle. I think it's great because some of these people do need the recognition of, that they're doing great things in the community and great things for these kids. And a lot of them don't really want it, but they need to be recognized for it. Some of them just doing it out of the kindness of their heart to help these kids every year out, year in. And they're not looking for a paycheck. They're not looking at the next LeBron and trying to hang on to his coattail. They're just doing it for the kindness of their heart because, one, they love the kid, and two, they love the game of basketball or other sports that they're involved with. So I think that's great that you're doing this, recognizing people that's actually making a difference in sports for the youth.
Wow, Jay, you know what? Because I'm a OG and so on, sometimes it's hard for me to get past you guys from when you were 17, 18. And so now when I hear you talk, I'm like, hold up, is he really saying this? Because, I coached Malik Allen and, Mike Williams and Skip get to my lose. And I never forget, Skip coached our team for like 5 years. And sometimes he would get off the plane from, finishing up with the Miami Heat and coming right in there and showing the kids plays. And he would be talking to them, giving them advice. And I would have to hold my laughter because I'm like, you're trying to give advice? You're trying to give advice? So, of all people?
Hey, we get older, we grow from, we learn from our mistakes, and it's like we get a second chance at it. My son, everything I'm doing wrong, I'm pretty sure he hates it because I'm on him about it. Like, hey man, you do this, and you gotta do this, and people coming at you is the double whammy for him because you get ranked, and especially your name is Jason Richardson II.
How about that?
You gotta stand up to the table.
You better step it up, right? You better step it up.
You gotta step up.
Hey Jase, life is a little bit different for y'all. When we were growing up, anyone could chastise you. Anyone, meaning that your neighbors across the street, your uncle, your granddad, whoever it was, could come on you. To this day, there was a woman across the street from us. Her name was Mrs. Bucks. I still remember her name. And if she thought we were doing something, she'd be like, Gary, what your boys doing over there? She just stayed on us. But do you know what? I tweeted recently and I said, thank you, Mrs. Buck. Because not only her, but the other people around us kept us in check. And I'm saying that to you, Jason, that you might not appreciate it now, but you will at some point. Okay? You cannot get better advice than this man that's next to you that you call dad. Okay? Don't ever forget that. Tim, one of the things that I love about ABIS is that we have allies who are all part of this. Okay? Sometimes people think it's just blacks. But if you go back into history, a lot of time when we were able to take a step forward, allies helped us, make this happen. And the George Floyd, situation, there was a lot of allies that were there, helping us move. And I consider a big part of what ABIS has been doing, and I just want to say that to you. Thank you for everything that you've done, and we need you, and expect you to play a part with Champion of Legends, weekend. Okay, so congratulations on your podcast. But I want to give you, a few words, last word, anything that you might want to say.
Well, I appreciate that, Gary, very much. I appreciate being involved. And what's interesting is you talk about allies, and I was thinking that even before we came on today, is that you're my ally. I wanted to thank you because you're always, being my cheerleader and pumping me up to me and to other people. I really appreciate that. And then what Jason was talking about is, in terms of the award ceremony, paving the way for other people. It's interesting how people like Sonny and, people like Ed O'Bannon and others that came well before me, as advocates, as athletes, as leaders, as people that just stood up, helped make my career, And so I feel like I'm really just trying to do my part and appreciate even just the opportunity, but even thinking back longer than that, the people that actually paved the way, even just for me to be involved in what I'm doing in sports and with advocacy.
My man, everyone, I want to thank you all, for being part of this. This was, awesome. And to our audience, I want to thank you all, for listening to this. Please listen to some of the wisdom that was just given here. Can't get better wisdom if you try and get to the league from an NBA player. But I do want to say this. As a group, we need to stop telling all these kids that you only succeed if you're in the NBA. That's not true. If you're any pro, whether you're in the G League, whether you're overseas, wherever you at, you a pro. Okay? Thank you, everyone, and see you soon. God bless.